today we are here with, and I'm not going to say your name because I don't want to get it wrong. So,
Roscelyn
okay,
Washington.
y'all heard her. But no, I'm here with her, and she is, you are a social worker, correct?
Yeah, I'm a licensed clinical social worker.
You are. I was looking at that
Mhm.
when you had emailed me. I was like, okay,
Yeah, it's been a journey, but
okay. So tell me this because I have thought about, I just have my license as I have my master's degree, but I have my license as
hmm
a social worker. And
hmm
I have thought about getting into the clinical part. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, and then I have a question, some couple questions I want to ask you because I'm really curious about the clinical part and like what it takes to get there because I've heard so many scary stories. So I'm so curious of what it takes to
Yeah.
the clinical part. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right. So, like I said, I'm Rosalind. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I also have a master's degree in business communication. So, I'm very educated, and it's just, you know how it is. You're just like, I'm bored. Let me get another degree. What's gonna help me get to the next level? So,
Right.
anyway, I actually I'm a social worker, and social work was actually a pivot for me. I had been working for a local plumbing company in the office for I think about 11 years or so,
Okay.
and got to a point where I just realized there was not going to be any type of elevation or promotion. And so, what attracted me to social work was basically the fact that you can just do so many different things. So, it's very versatile.
Mhm.
And so, I pursued social work, and I have had a very interesting career. So, it's never a dull moment. I worked for Child Protective Services doing investigations. That's why I started. I worked for a mental health hospital doing intake, and then I also did therapy on the units. I worked for a managed care organization as a care manager, so that's processing, work with members who have insurance and getting them connected to resources. Um, I worked with the Medicare population initially, so got laid off actually around COVID. We had got bought out, and if you ever worked for an insurance company, then like it's sketchy sometimes.
Mhm.
You really it's based on contract and things of that nature. So anyway, that's when I never thought I would want my L, but once I, lost that job, I was like, okay, what is it that I need to do? What's the next step for me? And what I realized later is that that role started requiring a licensed clinical social worker versus just a certified social worker, which in my state, which I'm in Kentucky, we have certified social workers. So that's your license at the master level
Okay.
without being clinical. So we're just CSW. But anyway, started the journey to getting my L, and now I do work for a different MCO. I'm a manager, I manage a team that helps members with getting housing and resources, food and things of that nature. So I'm very happy with my degree and my license, and it has served me well.
Good, good. So did you get your degree? I'm not your degree, your license. Did you get it in Kentucky or Georgia?
hmm In Kentucky.
Okay, okay. So what are the law requirements for Kentucky? Because I know each state is different when it comes to getting your clinical license.
Yeah, so I think you have to have like a whole bunch of work hours,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to have supervision hours. So the
Okay.
supervision hours I think are 250, somewhere around between 200 and 250. So of course you have to, have your master's degree. And I think you have to be 2 years post masters. I could be incorrect on that part.
Okay.
I could be incorrect, but basically, you got to pay for supervision. And luckily, a lot of, community mental health centers, they will pay for
Oh,
your supervision,
good.
through, like, you'll be able to get it free through them as a part of just working for them.
Okay. Okay, that's really good because I had thought about like once I got my master's, I had thought about getting my clinical, which I still plan on doing. Um, but I know each job is different. Some people, like the job I'm at now, I work for hospice. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm a medical hospice social worker. It's tough sometimes. I love my job. I really do because I feel like someone has to be there for the family, and why not me?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
it was hard at first because when I first started my job, I think the first week of being out on my own, I had a patient pass in front of me, and I'm
Oh,
just like,
wow.
Lord, I don't know what to do. I was like frozen. I'm sitting there on the side of the bed, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But yeah, it was a lot. It was different. I'm just like, I don't know how, and I had to stay prayed up. Like every day before I went to work, I had to pray, and I'm like, God, give me the strength to, get through this, and what to say to the families, and just what to even say to the patients, especially the ones that are still in their right minds, and because they're knowing they're going to transition soon. So it was a lot, because before
Yeah.
I started this job, I was contracted for DCFS. And I did that for 4 years. I was a case manager for them, and that was stressful. It was
Yeah.
stressful, and they wasn't paying me as much as I'm getting paid now. I will say that. So it was like a lot of stress and being underpaid. So I just thank God that I'm in a career now that I'm making what I it's cool. It's decent, but at the same time, I'm seeing a different part as a social work field. So, but I'm sorry, I just went off track.
No, you're good. We actually have that in common. I worked with hospice.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, yeah, and I loved it. I loved it. I love the work. It was a little disorganized, so I didn't like
Yeah, that can.
aspects of it,
Mm-hmm.
but the work and being there with the people, that was also something I never thought I would do,
Yeah,
but it was very rewarding.
it is. It
So
is.
kudos to you.
I know, girl. I think that makes a difference because when you work at an agency that is unorganized, communications off, it makes you not want to work there. Even though it's a good job, you like, I can't. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, I'm happy that I don't have to see a lot of people all the time because I'm always on the road, going to different facilities and patients' homes. So I don't have to deal with a lot of people in the office. So I think that probably makes me stay here a little longer.
Hmm.
So I think it makes a difference.
Yeah, that sounds like a good perk. Just especially if you're someone who gets bored easily
Yes.
and tired of like the same old every day, it does help to be able to break it up and travel to different places.
Yeah, I think that really helps. That I was gonna say that I know with my job, like the person that I think it's the branch manager I was speaking with, I was asking her about getting my clinicals, and she was telling me, I could take tests, like just different tests, and I can count that towards my hours. And I'm thinking that's gonna take forever. I
Like,
It's gonna take forever. So
what kind of test?
it's like little so it's kind of like we have a program called MedBridge, and we go, it's like training just to kind of keep our skill
Okay.
levels up and stuff like that. And most of them only take like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And in the state of Illinois, last I checked, you need around 3,000 hours. And that takes about, I don't know, maybe 2.5 years. It depends on how many hours you're putting in, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Your work should count.
and I was wondering that. And
Yeah,
that's
I can send you some information. Your work should count.
okay.
Well, of course, I know we're in a different state,
Right.
but there's a way that you can approach it. But as long as you do need, of course, a supervisor. At least we
Right.
do. We have to have a supervisor of record,
Right.
and then they'll meet with you weekly or bi-weekly or whatever the schedule is, but that should count. There's verbiage that you should be able to count it. And I don't know how your board works, but
Mhm.
I know the hospice here, they submitted stuff to the board and got approved.
Wow. Okay. And you know what? It's probably like that here. I don't know if it depends on the job you're working because I know at my last job there was a lady. She told me when she had got her clinical license, she said that the job she was working, a lot of her hours counted towards that. So I was like, hmm. But when I started this job, I was like, is this their way to try to keep me here longer? Make sure I'm
Well,
going nowhere.
they will do that.
I'm like, they try to be slick. You never know. I'm like, this is our way to try to make sure I'm not going anywhere soon. I'm like, I'm never gonna go anywhere having like 5 hours a week. So
No, no. Mm-mm.
yeah, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because here you have to have like you can be part-time, but I think part-time is 20 hours a week,
okay,
or you can be 40 hours a week, and you have to do that for, I think, 3 years. So
okay,
it's 3 years full-time, I think,
okay.
round two or three.
Got
And then you had the hours is what kind of counts as well. So if you get finished, with your hours
you.
early, you
Mhm.
still do have to finish out that 2 or 3 years too.
Okay,
So
okay,
yeah.
okay. Let's
Yeah.
on
But
that.
let me know because I can definitely give you some info and maybe
Okay.
that's something they can explore.
Definitely, because I'm like, wait a minute, that don't sound right. I know it has to be something more than what you're telling me. So that's why I say it's always good to talk to other social workers.
Absolutely. We have to help each other
We
out. I mean, we
do.
do. We really do.
We do. I feel like social workers is one of those fields where we kind of stick together because we are here to help the people and we want what's best for the people. So I feel like we kind of look out for each other. I'm not saying not any other career doesn't do it, but I feel like with our career, we're always worried about like what the next person is doing and just making sure they have their doing their full potential. That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
So, and I know you were talking about like some different jobs you had worked. So, what would you say is one of your favorite jobs you worked in this field?
Yeah, I would. Well, for different reasons.
Okay.
So, passion and just work I enjoyed doing was the hospice work I did because it's something I never thought I would do. I didn't think I had the capacity to do it.
Okay.
People are like, you just don't think that you're going, like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I want to do that one day. No.
Mhm.
Um, but it was very rewarding and it's very sacred work. That's what I felt. I felt, wow, I get the privilege of walking with this family,
Yeah.
through this journey,
Yes.
and providing support. And then I love the way, the interdisciplinary team is worked
Hmm.
out where they have the chaplain and the nurse and the doctor, and the CNAs. So
Yes.
I really think that's really where I've seen interdisciplinary teams work
Yes.
well together.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so that's one of my favorites as far as passion and what I enjoyed. Now, my second favorite was the first MCO that I worked for because it was very flexible. Like my workload was not overbearing,
Hmm.
and I just had a lot of flexibility with my time. I stayed on top of my work, did what I needed to do, but it wasn't super stressful, and so
Okay.
I did enjoy that. Now where I'm at now is a little bit different. I'm a manager now, and even I do find that changes depending on where you are, what department you're in, which
Mhm.
MCO you're with. So yeah.
Let me ask you this, because I've noticed that people work in the social work field. I noticed that sometimes they switch a lot of careers, and some people don't understand, and they probably like, "Why are you always switching jobs?" Or do you feel like maybe because we are getting burnt out on that job, or I don't know, like how do you feel the social work field switching up jobs is different from maybe somebody else? Because I feel like a lot of people when they feel like they find their careers, they stick with that.
Mhm.
And I think for me, when I think about the social work field, there is so many like ways you can go in this field, like so much to explore. And there's always I think with social work, like the doors are always open for us because they
Yeah,
know it's certain jobs, depending on exactly what you're working, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. Or like you
yeah,
said, it could be the people you're working with, and it's like you love your job. it's not that, but sometimes like the people you work with, your coworkers and stuff, it's like, okay, this is too much.
Yeah.
But I feel like with the social work field, I feel like doors are always open for us to explore and for us to kind of just get out there and get the I guess get the feel of, just the different ways we can go and stuff. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think, again, that was one of the pluses for me, even in pursuing social work. Like, that's how I said, oh, yes, that's what I want to do. Because someone came, I was at college, and someone came and spoke to our class about social work, and they named all the different jobs that they had. And I was like, oh man, that's cool because it is a different perspective, from a lot of people who do get in one job and stay there, or one, So I think the versatility is definitely a bonus. I think it's a combination. Yeah, you get burned out. But like you said, we're not limited. Some people stay because they're limited. There's nowhere they can go.
That's true.
And we're looking and we're like, oh, they're so faithful. Look at
I know.
them going to that job they hate. No, baby, they don't have the options that we have as social
Yeah,
workers.
that's
And
true.
yeah, we get burnt out. And if we get burnt out, then that means we're not taking care of ourselves. And if we're not taking, like, it's unethical practice, right? Because a part of the code of ethics is you need to practice self-care. So if I'm not taking care of myself, I can't take care of anybody else. So if in order to take care of myself and be the best version of myself and take care of people, if that means I got to move to another position, that's what I'm going to do.
That's
So
true.
yeah, I think it's a combination. And then we know, like you said, there's so many opportunities for us,
There is.
and that's attractive.
It is. It
I
is.
don't have to stay stuck. And
Yeah.
so I think that's another, people who want something different and they want to elevate, they move because of that too. So yeah,
No,
all those things that you said.
you're right. You're right. And it's so funny because my first degree is in psychology. And
Hmm.
my bachelor's, I'm just all over the place. My
Oh, you're
bachelor's
good.
is in psychology. And I remember when I started looking at jobs that I could do in psychology, I didn't see a lot. I'm like, there's nothing out here. It was limited. So I started thinking, I'm like, what do I want to do that doesn't feel like a job? And everything started leading to social work. I'm like, I like to move around. I love helping people. Like, that's me. And at first, I didn't want to do it because I was like, do they make the money? It was like so much I was looking into. But it just really depends on what you're doing with social work. Social workers actually
Hmm.
pay pretty good, and people don't realize that. They don't understand that. They're looking at social work like we just like resources, and it's not even about the resources. It's like you said, it's a rewarding career. There is so much more because I don't look at what I do as like a job. I look at it as like this is something I want to do. Even if I got paid less, I still love and I still enjoy what I do. So it's like
Hmm.
I want to have a job or a career on something that I enjoy doing that doesn't feel like work, and I'm always doing it. So, but yeah, I got my bachelor's in psychology, and I just started thinking, I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know, like I can do nothing with this." And I just remember listening to the Steve Harvey morning show one day, and he was like, do something that you can wake up every morning and it doesn't feel like a job. So I started looking and everything was saying social work, social work. And I was like, you know what? Let me look into this, just look into the different careers. And I was like, oh my God, like there's so much you can do with this social work degree. You can work in the school, you can work in the community, it's just so much. Advocate for so many different people. And I feel like this is something I do anyways, how my family members are always calling me.
Right. Yes.
So, so I'm just like, you know what? I think I would be, good at social work. So even when I was doing my master's degree and all the classes, like I enjoyed all the classes because it was just like, it was so, like, it came so natural in me. And I'm just like, I really like this. I really
Yeah.
do. So I don't know. And sometimes I feel like experiences, different things we went through in life kind of pull us towards what we want to do too. So I don't know. That's just something. So what are some ways you take care of yourself, self-care options that you do to make sure that you're not burnt out or when you feel overwhelmed?
Yeah, so I like reading.
Okay.
So that's a good pastime. I watch sometimes Ratchet TV, as they
Okay.
call it.
What
I'm a
is
Bravo
okay?
fan, so
I
I
thought I
watch
was
The
like, hold on.
Housewives. Yeah, so that is something that because I think we do so much serious work. The work we do
Yeah.
is serious.
Yeah.
It can be burdensome,
It can.
and so that's something that I do that just, I can laugh, I can, just look at something and just be entertained. So that's kind of
Right.
my guilty pleasure, but I'm not guilty about it. I'm just like, yes, that's what I do. I enjoy that.
Right.
Um, I journal.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'm a Christian, so prayer is important to me. Fellowship, with church and things of that nature, other Christians, like all of that, I think feeds into my self-care and just
Yeah.
getting away and grabbing a cup of coffee and being by myself. I'm more introverted, so I enjoy that alone time because it just allows me to recharge.
It
Yeah. How
does.
about you? What do you do?
Same kind of. I try to catch up on the like movies, TV shows when I don't fall asleep. So I
Yes.
definitely try to catch up on all of that. I like may plan like just to go out on a weekend or something like that. Uh, well, when the weather was warm, I would go like just go walking, just just being by water. I love being by the lake and stuff.
Mm.
Just get a peace of mind. So sometimes I like being by people, but like you said, I gotta recharge. And sometimes I just want to be by myself and I just want to relax. But just always planning something, having something to look forward to every month, I think, that helps me. So yeah, that's a must. You have to have that because I feel like when people don't take that time out, you're gonna get overwhelmed, you're gonna get stressed out, and you're gonna start snapping at people. So
Oh yeah.
I just feel like you gotta have something to look forward to. When you have something to look forward to, or somebody close you can talk to, somebody you could trust to just talk about certain things, I think that helps too because there are times we go through a lot because being social workers, we take on other people's problems so it's not about our lives anymore. And sometimes they get into us when we go home, even though they say, don't take your work home. Well, sometimes that's hard to do. If you're still
Very
thinking
hard.
about something that happened or how you're going to do this the next day. And it's kind of hard for you to take your mind off of it. But yeah, being a social worker, I tell people, like, hold on, my brain is overloaded. You don't understand. I got to think about my life, I have to think about other people's lives. I'm like, I am thinking for too many people right now. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a
And
lot.
then you mentioned earlier just how people kind of come to you like your family, your
Yes.
friends,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so that's something else. Sometimes we're not just the go-to people
Mhm.
on our jobs, which we know that's a part of social work.
Yeah.
And as far as my experience, most places I've been, they want to come to the everybody coming to the social work. What
Yes.
we need to do, what
Yes.
should we do, how we do this, what's going
Yes.
on? So
Yes.
you're the expert, at
Mm-hmm.
work, and then you also, which it's not that we mind, but sometimes we don't have capacity to pour into family and friends in that same way. So
Yeah.
I think boundaries, that's something we hadn't talked about, but that's important,
It
setting
is.
those
It
boundaries and
is.
recognizing our capacity.
It is. No, yeah, no, that's good. We definitely gotta have those boundaries because I just think about sometimes people are coming and coming and coming, and it's just like, okay, I have to tell them no. And I'm the type of person when I tell you no, don't ask me why I said no. I said no, and that's what it is. So ask me no questions. And they may think
It's a
I'm being
complete
rude.
sentence.
Yes, like I shouldn't have to explain my answer. No means no. Like, what else is there to explain? So I try to be nice about it, but sometimes people take my niceness and they just overlook it. I'm just like, okay, now I'm just not responding to you at all.
Yeah.
Because I have to do what's best for me. I can't think about other people all the time because this is what I do for a living. So sometimes I got to put Gina first and just think about what's best for me. Like, no is no, I just can't
Hmm.
right now. You understand? Like, I got to sit up here and explain to you that, do you not realize what I do for a job? And then
And I don't think people do.
I really don't. It's just they just thinking about their needs, their own needs. And I'm telling you no. And it's just it can be a lot sometimes. It really can
Hmm.
be a lot. So let me ask you this. What would you say to someone that's trying to be in the social work field? Would you encourage them and say, hey, come on? Or are you just more like if it fits them? Because I don't think social work fits everyone.
Yeah.
So I feel like some people have jobs just to get in where they fit in, but I feel like social work is a calling. I feel
Hmm.
like everybody isn't meant to be a social worker, but I feel like there are a lot of good social workers out here. I will say that. And
Hmm.
I heard that you say you're a manager or a supervisor.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
how was that
Yeah.
for you before you jumped on? Because I remember when I got my master's degree, they was like, "Oh, you can be a supervisor now," and I'm like, "No, I don't want to. I just didn't want all that responsibility." So how was it for you?
Yeah. So it's different. It's different in that this is my job. So I've had leadership positions,
Okay,
in church, in my
gotcha.
sorority, in the
You were prepared
community,
for
doing
this.
different things.
Okay.
Allegedly, supposedly, but no, because it's different. I'm not gonna say it's different. It is too similar. Maybe I can say that
Okay.
because I guess my impression was that, and just my experience with colleagues, it's one, leadership. They say, new level, new devil,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
so I liken it, I guess, to being a member of a church
Okay.
versus being a leader in the church and being
Mhm.
involved in the ministry where you get to see kind of the curtain is pulled back and
Yes.
you get to see stuff behind the scenes and you're like, they be doing that over here?
Mhm.
What? What's
Yeah.
going on? So I think I thought, not naively, I thought that being a manager in a professional organization would be easier because everybody want their job.
You right. Right.
That's what I think. I want mine.
Right.
That's why I come. But sometimes it's hard, it's challenging. And being being a social worker, you're always going to have that compassion and that empathy, and that's what you're going to lead with.
Mhm.
And sometimes that's received, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
And so, I like my current role. I love my leadership. I
Okay.
have a very supportive leader.
Good.
I have supportive colleagues, and I do have a great team. And I think that makes the difference. We all are gonna, we're human, so we're all gonna
Mhm.
have our little hiccups.
Mhm.
But one of the challenging things I think is just ge- getting to know people, building rapport. What we do. Um, and just doing that, I think that helps build it and make it easier.
It does.
But new being a new leader, there's a transition period, and that's any adjustment period can be kind of challenging.
Right. Right. Do you like being, that manager supervisor role? Do you ever feel like people I don't know, like, okay, so there was a point where you was under a person and you kind of had to look up to them and go to them for advice. And some people feel like, oh, they're not being fair and stuff like that. Do you ever feel like you get that? Because I feel like if I was a supervisor, I'm gonna have to be fair and everybody's not gonna like me, but it's not about liking me, it's about, doing the job correctly. So do you ever find it like a challenge?
Yeah, I have that same mentality. I'm really fairness is really equity. That's one of those things
Yeah.
that's a stickler for me.
Okay.
And we're apples and apples. I don't care. You can cuss me out and I'm gonna treat you the same way because
That's
this is
good.
my job. This is not personal,
Right,
and
right.
and everybody has their stuff,
Yeah,
right? I don't even take it personal.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I do think I think it goes with building that trust. You just have to be the same.
Yeah, you do.
And people see that. When they see that, when they see
Mhm.
that you're the same, like, oh, this person's, they got to dress the same way, or they have to do the same thing that
Mhm.
I have to do, then, I don't really worry about it because I feel like I'm good because regardless of how you take it, I'm still gonna be me.
Yeah, yeah. No, I get it. And that's how it
Yeah.
should be. That's how it should be. So let me ask you this. Have you ever ran into a client, in your whole social work fields that you felt like you ran into someone that kind of taught you something about yourself as far as maybe something you can change, or just, I don't know, maybe you looked at something different, but running across a certain person may have brought out something and taught you something about yourself?
Yeah, I just think collectively I learn a lot. And I'm also an adjunct instructor at two universities. So I learn from my students,
Okay.
I learn from my clients. And a lot of it is that self-reflection,
Yes.
um, and wanting to be in alignment with what I tell my clients,
Mhm.
right? And so sometimes they say you can give advice, but you don't take your own advice, right?
Yes.
And so, I'm telling them about self-care. I'm telling them about boundaries. I'm telling them about how valuable they are and
Yeah.
how they can do what it is that, whatever God created them to do and all that. And so, having to also internalize that
Mhm.
has been a big lesson because I don't feel like it all the time.
Yeah.
I think maybe we was talking about it before. Sometimes I don't feel like it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it. I'm just like everybody else,
Yeah.
right? And so I think them seeing a lot of my clients do the work
Mhm.
and press their way and be consistent
Mhm.
has helped me do the same.
Got you. Got you. I feel that working in this field, I've learned you can't judge people. You know,
Oh no.
you
Yeah.
can't judge people. I don't really know how I was in the beginning. I've been in social work for about maybe 5 or 6 years. I don't really know how I was in the beginning. I think I was shocked by a lot of stuff I was seeing. And then it just made me think about my own life. Like, I could have been in this situation, like anything. So I've learned not to judge people because I've run across people from all walks of life. And I'm like, oh my God, this could have been me. Like anything. So I've just learned just to, people are people, things happen, mistakes happen. So it's just like, what can I do to make sure that this doesn't happen again? So I want to talk to them like I would want somebody to come to me if I was in the same situation. So I've kind of learned to like not judge and just kind of sit back and hear their story and not assume stuff, and let them tell their story. Um, what else was I gonna say? Oh my God, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, I did want to ask, like, I mean, I think that's very important where you're like, making sure that you don't judge people. And I know earlier you was like, when you were saying, well, I don't know if I could be a manager because I'm about to treat everybody the same way. But that's what people need. I think you're not judging people. You realize, and I think we all should have some humility and realize we're not too far away from our client.
Yeah,
One misstep and it could be us,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, so I wonder, do you think that perspective of not judging people plays into you being adamant about being fair and equitable?
Probably so. I think it does. I really think it does because it's like, yeah, just thinking about it, what if I was in a situation trying to be fair, and then sometimes I have to realize one thing I noticed when I first started being a social worker, I was really soft on people. People were getting over on me. And I was like, okay, Gina. And it took me a while. It's like I had to like kind of self-reflect and think about it. I'm like, wait, because a lot of stuff I didn't know. I wasn't used to being around. Like, when I worked for DCFS, I was around people that were doing drugs. I never been around people that had done drugs. So I didn't know what to look for. So people got over me by telling me these stories. I was feeling sorry for them, all that stuff like that. So I think it was definitely a learning lesson. And then with social work, while you work in so many different fields with social work, like you learn so much. You learn so much. And I was being around people that were sex offenders, uh, drug abusers, like just environment, issues with the house. It was just a lot of different stuff. And I didn't really know because I didn't really understand. But it's like the more I got into it, the more I got to learn who people were, their backgrounds, where they came from. And I kind of started digging at the root of it. What caused you to do this? What can we do different? And I learned, like, okay, Gina, you can't be soft with people. It was hard. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, your heart is too good sometimes. There's nothing wrong with having a good heart, but at the same time, you have to do what's right by them in the long run. What are they trying to accomplish? What do you want to see them accomplish? So you being soft on them isn't going to, teach them anything. They're just going to go back and repeat and do the same thing. So it's like, okay, let me look at what's going on and what we can do different so they don't come back and do the same thing. So at a certain time, you just have to, like, okay, I can't do this. I gotta tough
Mhm.
love. You may not like me, but you'll thank me for it in the end. So
Mhm.
and then I think about, especially working with families and they have the children, I feel like sometimes you're that light that go into the home because, especially our race and
Mhm.
stuff, a lot of people see a lot of negative within the Black community. So it's like, let me be that light to come in and show them that, there are Black people out here actually doing something, and you don't have to be a certain way to, get
Mhm.
attention. You can actually do something with your life and still, live good. So it's just, yeah, a lot of mixture of that. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm sorry. I probably need to answer the question you asked me.
No, you did. You did. You're good.
I'm like, I don't think about something, then I'll go off to something else, and I'm like, okay, well, okay,
No, yeah, you answered.
okay, okay. But yeah, so there was another question I wanted to ask you, and then I'm gonna let you go because I know you have been, and I thank you for coming on because there is supposed to be a few more people on, and I'm sorry I put you
Yeah,
on the spot. But you're doing
you're
really good,
welcome.
and I'm learning so much from you. So I definitely want us to continue to connect after this.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I met her. I met her on it was a social work group on Facebook. So
Hmm.
hey, there are resources out there.
And I think those Facebook groups are big resources
They are.
for us in our community.
They really are.
Um, and I mean, I met so many people and learn about different resources. So I would definitely tell social workers, especially like me. Um, like I said, I'm kind of introverted.
Okay.
And I'm not going to all these places. I'm just
Yeah.
not. Okay, I'm not. Okay, don't invite me. I'm good. You know, yeah, because I'm busy. I have, we already talked about that. But being on social media and Facebook and these different communities has really been a blessing for me because I have a question. Is somebody else in there who's already asked it or who has the same question and I can just find it. So yeah, and meeting great people who are also social workers, learning about conference, learning about different resources. It's really a blessing.
It is. It really is because I think it's always good to pick up skills and just connect with people. And like I tell people all the time, it's always good to network because you just never know who you may run into, who you may need, and what you can learn from. So I'm so big on networking,
Hmm.
so I think that's really good. So I would say, for someone that's trying to come into the social work field, um, what do you think you could tell them as far as being a social worker trying to get into this field? Like, what do they have to look forward to?
Okay. So I will say one, just as far as making a decision to be a social worker,
Mhm.
I think it's a great decision. And it's going to depend on, what you're looking for, what you're looking to do. I think you have to be intentional if you pursue this degree, and I'm sure others. And so you're not going to know your career path day one. I mean, some may, but it's a winding road, right? And so I would just tell them to be open to where this field will take them,
Mhm.
but also be intentional about going all the way. So one thing I would I would not have had a lapse between me getting my LCSW and having my master's. Like, if I could go back, it was something I never wanted to do.
Mhm.
Right. I was like, I didn't see myself as a therapist. That was not something that although I was, maybe I was in denial. I think I was probably just in denial because everybody else knew it
Yeah.
and were acting as such. And I was like I literally told one of my friends, no, I'm not going to do that. But think about it as leverage. So if you're pursuing social work, think about going all the way just so you have leverage and have options. A
Mhm.
lot of times, if we just have a bachelor's degree or we have a master's degree and we're licensed at the master's level, it gets better and better, right? But when you get that clinical license and you can practice independently, doors open up for you.
Yes.
And so I would suggest, I know there are people who are like, well, you don't need to have it, you don't need to have, and maybe you don't. But in my experience, as someone who never thought I was going to have a clinical license, it has served me well. So I would say go all the way. Don't just stop at bachelor's.
Yes.
Don't just stop at master's and then don't even get licensed or don't go all the way because this is your career. And in order to make the money and to do the things, you want to be able to leverage your whole skill set. You want to bring everything that you have to the table. So I would say it's a great field. Yeah, everybody gonna get tired. That's life. Um, but it's a great field. I would not choose anything else.
Me either. Me either.
So
Me
yeah.
either. No, that's a good answer. Like seriously, I would not choose anything else. I love being a social worker. I love this field. I love the opportunities. I just love it's so versatile on so many different things you can do with social work. And there's going to be days you're going to get tired. You're going to get
Hmm.
tired. Like anybody else, we're all human. You're going to go through some times where you don't feel like socializing with people because I've had those days, and I'm like, I'm a social
Hmm.
worker. I gotta socialize. So you're gonna have those days you don't feel like social life. But that's like with any job. Our career, I feel as a social worker is so rewarding. It's so
Hmm.
rewarding because people look to us for help. And it's just like we are the problem solvers. We are the superheroes.
Hmm.
We're like the
Hmm.
everything. So it's just like we not only are we just looking for resources in the community, we are like therapists, counselors. We are just you're like one-stop shop in a way, because we have to make sure that the family is good as a whole. What can we do to better you? So I love this field, and I just feel like anybody that's pursuing trying to get a degree in social work, you're doing great. Just make sure this is something that you're compassionate about before you even start. But I will say that you can't go wrong with this field. Everybody always, change and stuff. And it's okay to, get some experiences and then go work and do something else. That's okay. It's part. And everybody that's in the social work field understands that. You have burnout, or maybe that's not the right fit for you because there's so many different ways you can go. So I think it's a great field to definitely, to go into. So, but thank you for joining me. And I hate that you were the only one on here.
No, thank you for inviting me, and I'm
Of
I'm glad
course.
to be here. It's absolutely fine. It's good. It felt intimate. It felt like, we just hanging out. So that's
Yeah,
that's good.
very good. And I learned a lot from you. I really did. I want us to stay connected.
Likewise.
I definitely want us to stay connected. And just like I said, once again, thank you for joining. I've learned so much from you, and I'm sure others have learned so much from you too. And they got some insight of more of what it takes to be a social worker. And by you being a supervisor manager, let them know that not everybody out there is bad. There are actually some good managers out here that's really trying to help y'all.
Absolutely.
Yes, so thank you so much. We definitely have to connect again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and end it that. I hope you guys have learned something educational when it comes to social work. Like we discussed, you can't go wrong with this field. There is so much you can learn. with being a social worker. And all the future social workers that are trying to do something, I wish you guys the best. You guys got this. Stay strong. Do not give up, because at the end it is so rewarding and you're going to love it. And there's so much great things you can do, especially being a licensed clinical social worker. There is so much you can definitely do. Thank you once again for joining, and thank you guys.